What is Ikigai, really, and why it might be the wisdom we need today? Among the many cultural ideas that have traveled beyond Japan's borders, few have resonated as widely as Ikigai. Often translated as life's purpose or reason for being, this concept is sometimes portrayed as a blueprint for fulfillment. Yet behind the global fascination lies a quieter, more nuanced truth. The Ikigai known within Japan differs from the one popularized abroad. In books, talks, and social media posts, Ikigai is often introduced through a tidy diagram showing the overlap of four spheres: what one loves, what one is good at, what the world needs, and what one can be paid for. It's a compelling and organized model, but it didn't originate in Japan. The diagram was created by a Western author and only later became associated with the Japanese word. While this modern reinterpretation may offer practical insights, it misses the cultural subtlety of Ikigai as it is understood in Japan. The word itself is composed of iki, life, and gai, value or worth. But rather than a grand mission or a perfect career, Ikigai is often expressed through small personal elements that bring daily satisfaction and meaning. In Japanese life, Ikigai can be found in the mundane and the modest: the first sip of tea in the morning, a walk through a neighborhood garden, a brief conversation with a friend. It's in the gentle consistency of everyday routines, not in the pursuit of major achievements. It can live in quiet hobbies, caregiving, craftsmanship, or a deep appreciation for nature's impermanence. Unlike a static goal or accomplishment, Ikigai is deeply tied to the rhythms of everyday life. In fact, the Japanese understanding of Ikigai doesn't require it to be career-related at all. It can be as subtle as finding joy in preparing a meal, or as enduring as dedicating oneself to a craft over decades. Insights from Okinawa, one of Japan's southernmost islands and home to some of the world's longest living people, illustrate this beautifully. When asked about their Ikigai, elders often mention simple things: tending a vegetable patch, practicing traditional dance, or teaching younger generations a skill. These are not necessarily career goals or global ambitions, but they provide continuity, joy, and connection. In Okinawa, there's even a word that reflects the depth of community ties, moai, which refers to a lifelong social circle that supports an individual emotionally and financially. These relationships are often where Ikigai is nurtured, not through achievements, but through being seen, valued, and supported by others. Modern life, in contrast, often places intense pressure on people to define their identity through titles, metrics, and status. Against this backdrop, the soft voice of Ikigai reminds us of a different way, a path of quiet presence and meaningful connection. Ikigai is also flexible. It evolves as life changes. It does not demand external validation or accomplishment. For one person, it may lie in a creative pursuit, for another, in relationships. For yet another, it might be solitude, reflection, or service. It asks for sincerity, not performance. This flexibility is part of what makes Ikigai feel alive. It is a thread that weaves through different stages of life. A young person might find their Ikigai in learning or discovery. An adult might find it in raising a family or contributing to their community. An elder might find it in storytelling, ritual, or memory. To explore one's own Ikigai is not to seek a singular answer, but to observe closely. What brings peace or curiosity? What feels worthwhile even if no one notices? What restores energy rather than drains it? The answers may shift over time, and that is part of the beauty. There are also times when Ikigai seems to fade. During illness, grief, or uncertainty, it can be hard to sense any meaning at all. But even then, Ikigai may linger quietly, in the care of others, in the breath that continues, in the persistence of routine. Unlike many modern ideas of success, Ikigai is not about constant striving. It doesn't need to be efficient or profitable. It is valid when visible and when hidden. It may offer comfort in hardship and joy in the mundane. It is both anchor and direction. There may be seasons when Ikigai feels distant. Life's complexity, loss, or transition can obscure it. Yet it often returns, gently in a gesture, a memory, or a routine rediscovered. In that sense, it can be seen as a cultural expression of resilience, a quiet kind of strength. At its heart, Ikigai encourages a more reflective, grounded way of living. It values presence over pressure, depth over speed. In a world that frequently prizes more, bigger, faster, Ikigai offers a different rhythm, one that honors enough, one that sees value in simply being. Rather than a tool or a formula, Ikigai can be understood as a lens, a way of noticing what matters and trusting that even the smallest joys are worthy. It invites people to slow down, to pay attention, and to reconnect with what gives life its quiet spark. Even culturally, the idea of Ikigai overlaps with other Japanese values like wabi-sabi, the beauty of imperfection, mono no aware, a gentle awareness of impermanence, and shokunin kishitsu, the craftsman's spirit. These concepts, like Ikigai, point toward a life that is both grounded and elevated by mindfulness and care. Ikigai may also be seen in the devotion of artisans who spend decades perfecting a single skill, not for fame, but for the integrity of the work itself. In such moments, Ikigai becomes not just a feeling, but a practice. Practices that cultivate Ikigai don't need to be complex. They might include journaling, taking time to walk slowly, preparing food with attention, or simply observing the change of seasons. The key is not what is done, but how it is approached, with curiosity, presence, and appreciation. Ikigai doesn't require grand reinvention. Often it begins by noticing what is already meaningful. What do you return to without effort? What activities or relationships quietly sustain you? What moments make you feel like yourself? And perhaps, most importantly, what are you willing to cherish, even if the world never rewards it? This is the subtle strength of Ikigai. It invites a life of depth, not spectacle, of meaning, not measurement. In embracing it, people are not asked to become someone else, but to remember who they already are. And perhaps that is why Ikigai has found a home in the hearts of many, far beyond its origins. Not because it promises clear solutions, but because it invites a gentler, more attentive way of living.